and Matt Jackson, guys. It is so great to see you back here in AEW. You guys have requested this time to discuss a few things.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but can you show a little more respect next time and call us by our God-given names of Nicholas and Matthew Jackson? You see, we're executive vice presidents around here, and it's time to take this job a little more serious.
Great point.
All right. For those of you who don't know, let's explain this from the beginning, Vlad. We got to bring the people into this. Anyone who might be watching this for the first time and knows nothing about wrestling. So these two guys are the Young Bucks. They convinced Tony Khan. They're one of the group of guys who convinced Tony Khan, who had the money, the son of the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, to invest in wrestling. And, you know, they were big heroes for this at the time because we wanted an alternative to WWE. And it was a big deal. It started off hot. There was a lot of goodwill around it. People really wanted it to work. And it did, you know, it looked nice at the beginning. People had high hopes for it until we saw how the booking kind of laid out for the next couple years. And it's been 5 years since the company started, something like that. So Tony Khan is not a really experienced booker. It's the first time he's done it. So he gets a lot of criticism from the old generation of wrestlers and bookers. But the Young Bucks also have been made vice president of the company, along with Kenny Omega. They had no experience in this regard. They come from independent wrestling mostly. They did TNA, but they kind of got hot on the indie scene before AEW started. They got a fan base, right? You know, they do cool moves. They're known for their flips. They're just a little tongue-in-cheek, right? They don't take the wrestling business seriously. There's two
even
here. Yeah,
even
exactly. They're doubling down. But yeah, they're known for being a little bit goofy and not taking the business and the matches as seriously as some other wrestlers. So that's the two schools of thought, that some people say you should treat it seriously and people will kind of accept it. And then other people say, nah, it's wrestling. Everyone knows it's fake. So let's just laugh about it. So that's the Young Bucks here. Recently, there was a controversy with CM Punk, and CM Punk has since left the company, and they got CM Punk. It was a legitimate star, legitimate wrestler for them, and he wanted to instill some of the old school principles, right, of old school 80s wrestling into AEW, and he kind of got forced out by the youngsters, and this is part of that group. And this is really the first time we've heard from these guys since all that controversy. We haven't heard them really talk on the show or even in private give any shoot interviews about it. So this is their response. This is literally the first thing we're getting from them, and this is it. It's them acting like complete assholes. Like, literally, it's pretty heelish, I must say. To the people in the know, to the old school wrestling fan, this is pretty asshole shit to do. Because people are saying, oh, you need to take this more seriously. So here they are coming out with this ridiculous suit and this outfit saying, oh, yeah, you need to treat us more seriously.
Yeah, well, yes, to be fair, but I think that is what they're going for. You know, I'm not one to defend the Young Bucks, but that is, I think, the point of this gimmick that they currently...
Well, at least it makes sense. But it's only for the smart Mark fans. Like, if you don't know everything that I just said, if you're just watching out of nowhere, you just want to watch a random show, you have no idea what the fuck this is. But, okay, let's listen to the rest of it. I want to see this interview.
Okay, well then, starting with that, let's talk about this job and taking things more seriously. I mean, we've seen the temper tantrums, the public meltdowns. I mean, the rumors that we've seen.
Rumors. Hang on, okay. You want to go there? I think I know which rumors you're talking about. You don't believe any of that is true now, Rene? The things that they say about us, the things that they write about us, right? Okay. None of those are true, okay? It's all fake. But let's say hypothetically some of that was true, right? Some of the stuff you read was true, right? Let me ask.
Is this referring to CM Punk, the fight and everything? And
that's what it's referring to? I wasn't quite sure. When they kept mentioning rumors, like, what exactly are they talking about?
What else?
Yeah, I'm not really sure. There's been quite a bit of rumors about them in general. The fact that they're, you know, they're dicks, basically. But that doesn't mean... I don't know what rumors they're specifically referring to. There's been so many different ones. So it's hard to say.
For me, so much time has passed since CM Punk's departure and up to this interview that it could have meant all kinds of things. So that was actually confused when they were mentioning rumors. I had no idea which rumors they were referring to exactly, but okay, let's go with
that's fair. Yeah.
You a question. What would you do to preserve and protect your life's work? What would you do to preserve and protect your baby? You and John got a beautiful daughter, right? What would you do? Huh? I know what I would do. right? So just think about that when you come at us with rumors again. But again, this is all hypotheticals, okay? And also, what would you be willing to lose? Would you be willing to lose your relationship with coworkers and your friends? And how about your reputation or your legacy out the window? You know what? And if you knew all that in hindsight, would you still do it if it meant that there would be a healthy, sustainable, thriving wrestling company called AEW? Yeah. You know what? I know my answer. The answer is hell yeah. I'll go back and do it all over again. And speaking of there being a company around, you got your paycheck this week, right? Yeah. You're welcome.
Okay, so there's an element of shoot in this. The way I analyze what he's saying is they're saying they need to protect AEW to survive, and I think they think that they've done the best job that you could do. Their style of wrestling, their indie mud show style, as it's called among certain circles, I think they think that's better than the old school style, and they're challenging Sting, and they're going to mention, we're going to get him out of the business because we need to get that old-fashioned thinking of wrestling out of the business. What do you guys think of that?
Okay, so they chased out the only two legit stars that they've ever had in the company, Cody, and they chased out CM Punk. Whether Cody, admits or says that he was chased out, it doesn't really matter. He was basically, there were disagreements within that group, right?
Yeah,
we know this.
They were not going to let him do it his way, which is the standard old-fashioned wrestling way, right?
And now both of these guys, as we have said in previous shows, are possibly going to be main eventing WrestleMania and the two biggest stars and the biggest company in the world. So whatever they're protecting, it's just blowing up in their face. Whatever they think they're protecting, I don't even know if they believe what they're saying in this thing, but whatever they're doing has really hurt the company. And that's why I've always said, for people that defend them, nobody's done more harm to AEW than these two guys right here. Nobody. Nobody's done more damage to the self-respect of this company. And I don't care what the AEW fans say or think, or guys like our own good friend Brian think of these guys. These guys have done so much harm to their own company that it can't even be stated. But anyways, I'm going to let Robert talk because I know he may have something to say about this.
Yeah, Robert, you're a bit more of a Young Bucks fan than we are, I think. Do you have any response to that?
Okay, so yes, I am a Young Bucks fan, but I don't necessarily watch them for their promos and interviews. So this is quite a lot for them to say. I don't really hear them say this much in one interview. I don't know, that this felt more like probably far too long rants. I mean, we haven't seen the whole thing yet, but I was like, what is going on? What are they talking about? I was more confused more than anything, especially starting off with the rumors. I kept thinking in my head, like, what rumors are they referring to? Why are they being so defensive all of a sudden? That was more so what was playing in my head. Like, I don't know what it is that they're talking about, what they're trying to defend themselves against, like what rumors is Rene speaking of, because they didn't make it very clear.
Well, you're supposed to know already. You're supposed to be in the know in the wrestling world. That's a lot of AEW, though. AEW don't bring people in. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you don't know. But
in this case, I didn't know. So I was more confused than anything else.
All right, let's hear what the rest of it. But Robert, let me just say, I think that this is really the first time I've seen them talk about anything. So I think the CM Punk thing is included with this.
Yeah, there is a point where it seems pretty obvious they are talking about CM Punk.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't think that was what the rumors were about. But yeah, go ahead.
Well, switching gears to keep things on track here, let's talk Sting. Let's talk the moment from last week, seeing you guys make your arrival back into AEW. Can you walk me through those moments?
When we started AEW, you weren't there in the beginning, so you don't know. But we used to say, change the world. That was the slogan, change the world. And we did. We were disruptors. We were rebels. We spat in the face of tradition. It was out with the old and in with the new, Rene. And for a while, we were doing that. We weren't changing the world, and somewhere along the way, we did lose our way. It was like the culture shifted and toxicity creeped into the locker rooms, and the perception of the company was just different. That's all. It was just different, okay? And I think I know why. I think it's because we started to lean on yesterday's self-serving, superficial, cancerous superstars. And you mentioned Sting. This isn't about Sting. Sting is none of those things. Sting's great. He's a role model employee. He is awesome. The conversation for one of the greatest of all times, I actually am envious of the way that people talk about him. Maybe they'll talk about us like that one day. Okay? However, It's about what Sting represents. Sting is the last of that dying breed, and the image of Sting, it isn't in line with what we wanted to do here at AEW. We wanted to change the world. So unfortunately for Sting, we're going to have to say goodbye to Sting and everybody like Sting. And we would never ask anybody to do something that we weren't willing to do ourselves, Rene.
Good point.
So is that an official call out to Sting at Revolution for Sting's final match?
Well, see that? As EVPs, we'll pull some strings.
All right, sweetheart. I got a meeting to get to.
All right. Well, they tied Sting into that whole thing. He did mention he likes Sting as an employee. He's a model employee, but he does represent the old guard, the old ways, because he came from that generation. Although he has played ball with a lot of the goofiness of AEW, so that doesn't make a lot of sense. He's not one of the guys who's pushing for things to be the old ways, like CM Punk definitely was. And a lot of these WWE guys that come in, they think that it should be done a certain way. And when it doesn't, they create a stink about it, and then they get pushed to the side. Or they don't get featured, or they don't get pushed. Like Miro, and then Punk got pushed out, and Cody left. Cody wasn't listened to. He wasn't going to have his way, so he just said, fuck it, I'm going to bail on this. This was a good plan at first. Sounded good, but we're leaving. Anyways, let's get comments on the whole Sting thing and how you think that relates to what they said, if that makes sense, if that kind of makes this feud anything now, or is it still kind of like random, like we've mentioned last week, that it didn't have an angle or a story behind it. They kind of trying to push a story into it now. So let's get some thoughts from Robert first. I'll go with Robert.
I felt like they were just trying to create an angle out of nothing. I don't believe anything they say. Well, I do believe them when they say that they respect Sting and that he should be considered one of the best of all time. But them saying that they want to destroy what he represents, well, if that's the case, why is Jake the Snake around? Why is Arn Anderson? Why do you have these guys in your company still if you want to destroy what Sting represents, right? That doesn't make sense to me. So I just feel like they're just trying to create an angle out of nothing. If it's true what Lad mentioned last week that Sting actually chose them, they had to come up with some sort of angle, and this is what they came up with. I don't know. So I personally don't believe them. That's
all
my
right,
take
then.
on it.
Vlad, let's get your take. Similar thoughts or what?
As far as this whole angle, I don't feel any different about it. I think there were some discussions on, I guess, the internet wrestling community that the Young Bucks would come back as heels of some sort, kind of talking about them being EVPs more than they've ever have before. So this isn't really a surprise. The fact that they're kind of involved in Sting's last match is a little bit surprising, though. I think that was the big surprise. I mean, I'm not sure who in the current roster in AEW or whoever they could have gotten from, I don't know, Japan or wherever, TNA or wherever, would have been better. But I'm just surprised that the Young Bucks are involved in this, given what I think of them already. So I don't know. I don't know if this thing is actually improved based on the fact that they're a heel group. But I feel that at least it was somewhat honest, given I think this is how they actually feel, in the sense of they're doing the right things, they're protecting AEW. I think that part rings true in their minds, that they're taking the right course of action in what they're doing. Now, we could debate that, obviously, but I do feel that there's some truth in what they're saying. So this was kind of a work shoot, because there's obviously there's an angle here, which is Sting's last match, which they're going to be involved in, but also the shoot part, which I think there was some truth mentioned, as far as how they actually feel.
You know what, though? I think I'll give it a pass now. I'll let it pass. I think I'm going to be accepting of this storyline. It's something, At least it's not, the last match is just against the Young Bucks. At least they threw something in there. Yeah, I didn't completely believe it, also because Sting has been such a loyal guy to AEW, and whatever the kids want him to do, he's been playing trampoline cowboy with them. So
yes, absolutely.
Really cowboy. Wow.
That's what they do. They jump around, they spin around, they do goofy tricks. He flies off of things. It's been a fun ride. He's been one of the boys. I think they could have used his run a lot better, though, because a lot of the things he did was incredible, but it just kind of got mixed in with the mishmash of everything else. If they really featured him more and had some really targeted feuds and focused on them, and then he did one of those insane moves in one of those matches, it would have hit harder. I think it could have been done a little better overall, but that's just a problem with the AEW show overall. One big comparison I make to the classic wrestling we're watching, the Nitros and stuff, is that although the NWO stuff is really good, the rest of the stuff around it fit around it really well, and it didn't fuck up the NWO angle. But that's what's going on in AEW, is that they might even have a good angle going, but the rest of the show will be so goofy and silly and crazy that it kind of fucks up the other angles. You know, it steps on other people's toes. That's my big assessment about AEW overall.